position for 10 years. Push the ball along. Yeah, me too. I mean, oh, what is it? You can do it all along. I have the shirts every time. Oh, wow. I've been collecting them. Oh, yeah. Of course, they don't say anymore. Especially the this parade used to be done by the civic association. So that was before the town people, then 2000, the town, but the variance was different from the variance. I thought it should be part of that. I saw that actually. I was looking at some old notes. It seems like this was not. It didn't used to be a veterans thing. Why not is so because everything 1 year is like 5. Oh, really? The entire word. I'm sorry, Omar, I'm going to put your name on the list of people. What's your last name? By the way, it was beautiful at the end of that day. I'm sorry? The better, oh, yeah. Yeah. It was nice we had somebody that was willing to donate the flags, which was nice. And then it was just up to us to put the sprayers with good and kind of put the ceremony together. Well, I think you have to also see the terrain. Yeah, well, yeah, it's funny. Yeah, it's funny you say that because that was the debate. There was a guy out there who's an engineer, and he was saying, the undulating terrain we need to account for. And last year we did it myself. There's two of us. We put out probably 90% of the flags. That's not easy. Just the two of us. And then this year we had a bunch of people, but all those extra people, they were just putting flags. Yeah. And then the line started, and the engineer said, well, you got to count. And the guy that put in charge, he said, I don't think that's true because you go to Arlington Cemetery and you can see them, but they're all straight. But it's not, they're not doing this. But even if it's curvy, the line is straight. Yeah, but for somebody that knows, Yeah. I'm going to send you, I guess I'll put on our email list. If you don't mind, what's your email? It's some minutes from the meeting 5 years ago. Oh, 5 years ago. Yes, and it talks about, basically all the stuff that we have covered this time too. But, and that was when they said that because of construction in the parking lot of Town Hall, they were going to do a new route 5 years ago. And there was a Jose Raniella. Selection of the chair. Jose Raniella was nominated by Alex Sanchez, seconded by Gary Cardenas. This was it, this was all that had. Hey, good morning, or good afternoon. Good evening.
And then show the names.
No, that was here, no.
Because I know you only do the veterans, but I ended up writing out all of
Cultural affairs, Omar's with cultural affairs, Nancy.
No,
No, you
Oh,
don't.
public safety, yeah.
No.
And Nancy from public safety had indicated that the committee chair, that she was going to be.
Yeah. Right?
I don't know, what's.
Yeah.
Our agenda.
Well, they're always going to be one.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, just.
Omar, this is Larry, this is Omar, Omar is with the public safety. And you say, you might recognize him from last year. I mean,
Well, last year, I don't think we.
I'm sorry, 2 years ago.
Oh, since.
Yeah, well, you did it, in the last 20 years, but 2 years ago, he was the guy with the signs, putting everybody in the parking lot where we started, kind of getting all those people organized.
Yeah, cool.
And he's been doing it, he said, since 2000.
He's a familiar face.
And I didn't know, we used to do all, we used to borrow,
Yeah.
Big friends.
Oh. That's a good point. See, these are the lessons learned that's important. And I've been telling, we've been talking about it, that it's important to write this stuff down, because if you didn't come here tonight, we wouldn't know that, and then we'd end up with people everywhere, and we'd say, oh my goodness, So we really need to, write this stuff down and say, listen. You know what, it's fine, how we, yeah, exactly. We don't need to keep relearning the lesson every time we do it. Stuff,
Sorry, the what?
with our veterans stuff, they offered us the opportunity to move our day anytime of the month, week.
No, when was that? I didn't see it.
Yeah, well, I sent it in that email.
I apologize. I've been running around. Haven't even looked at it.
So,
Send it-
basically, I just
You sent it today?
If they have I sent it over the weekend, and I sent it again this morning.
I've been on the road
Which
most.
kind of goes back to your point, I suppose I should be calling people. Emails and calls.
Well, I usually look at email. Here's a text from Gary.
Two people told me they were in the paper, maybe just me. I think Nicole
Yep, she told me that.
and Pedro.
Oh, paper too.
Yeah, he called me today that he has a family matter.
Oh, okay. And then Gary said he might not make it either.
Gary just sent a text. He said that, Larry, please remind Mike about the email I sent him a little while ago.
Yeah.
Important info about parade plans. I am stuck with the plumbers at home, but think they can finish today. All right, he's got the finance people, he's got the plumbers in. When he's got-
Yeah.
Sounds like the politicians are in
I
a
got
win.
the painters, I got the, hello, Ed. Yeah, oh.
Ed? Good, how are you?
I'm gonna turn it off.
Larry, I already told him, thank you. Thank you, for what was on Hey, there's a agenda right there, if you want to grab one. I didn't mean to start it, but. Did you get my, about the, no, also, sent you one about
Oh, yeah.
Couldn't miss it. We're gonna involve in this every year.
So
since
thank
the
you guys
start.
for-
Sorry, sir, how you doing? See what the dog.
Yeah.
Okay.
But,
Don't worry about it. Yeah, I told her that to get to the end of this week.
okay, so we can
Yeah.
Yeah.
We started, like, kind of change it, kind of get like you. Yeah. Right, yeah, right. This is mine. Okay. Yeah. They have to show you. Yeah, oh.
Yeah, I have one.
Ed, could I impose on you to record the minutes, would you please?
All right, good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. You know, we have a good share of folks from the Veterans Committee. And then I recognize a few of the other faces and had the opportunity, but if you wouldn't mind just introducing yourself, that way we can make sure that we get you to keep you in the loop with the emails when it goes around. And then we'll have some sense of who's here and who's not here. So Omar, if we could start with you, please. And then if you don't mind, I know that you have a significant amount of experience with the parade. So would you mind just briefly telling us what you've done in the past, so as we're planning for the future, we could tap into your expertise? Yeah, yeah.
Hi, my name is Omar Gonzalez. I've been doing the Veterans Parade since 2002, I believe. And I guess I can also help you guys as we go along. I think that would be one good idea. But I've been doing everything, from lineup to lead the parade, to go to think about different routes, you name it. I don't know what else I can, unless, when it becomes, I can help you guys with it.
Fantastic. Yeah, thank you very much. Neil?
Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to participate. Usually, my vice chair for cultural affairs, Felicia Salazar, has always been our point person serving here on the Veterans Committee. But because she's out ill, and I have decided that I need to be here and to really bring cultural affairs more involved in the Veterans Parade. For the last, I guess, 10 years, we've always been involved with simply bringing a car with the, what they call it, the magnetic sign on the side of the car that says cultural affairs. And we went through the community. Last time it was very limited because the COVID, and we just kind of had a drive through. And but hopefully this year we'll have more participation, and I look forward to working with you and being involved. Thank you.
No, thank you, sir. Please just introduce yourself and.
Hi, my name is Kelvin Gonzalez. I'm a volunteer. I've been volunteering for the Veterans Day Parade for the past 10 years or so.
My brother.
That's Momar's brother.
Thank you, Calvin.
You're welcome. Like a family affair.
Yes, my name is Charles James, and I've been with Juan and Omar probably about same amount of time, about 2000. And I'm retired military, so I'm responsible. One of my responsibilities was to contact the ROTC units. I've already made a couple of calls on them and see how many we can get to participate. And I was the MC for a couple of years, but that's your call if you want me to do that again.
Are you volunteering for that then,
I
Mr.
will.
James?
I will unless
Yep.
you have somebody.
Of course, yeah, but I mean, would you like to do it? That would be
Yeah.
the question.
Yeah.
Great. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Sure.
Okay, thanks.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Mario Chavez, and I'm a veteran also. I'm part of the Veteran Committee. This will be my third participation in the Veterans Parade. First one, I loved it. It was awesome. So last year, of course, because of COVID, wasn't much of activity, but I'm here to do whatever is needed to be done and help out, support the Veterans Parade. Thank you.
Thank you, Mario.
Hi, my name is Larry Borman. I'm Chairman Coots, able-bodied assistant. I'm also the vice chair. I'm with the Veterans Committee, and I'm really happy to help out in any way I can.
My name is Daniel Gonzalez. I'm also a member of the Veterans Committee. This is going to be my first Veterans Day Parade, as I was brought on to the committee back in May or April of this year. So I look forward to helping out, and I look forward to participating and volunteering for the parade as well. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Edward Paez. I'm also on the Veterans Committee. This will be actually, I think, my third Veterans Parade. Last year, I don't know, I know there were a lot of people here that were participating. My daughter and I were the ones at the front of the park, waving everyone in and pointing them out to the right parking and getting everyone out. So we're looking forward to doing it again.
Nancy, if you want, we'll just put you right up over here, if you don't mind. Yeah, okay. And can we put you on the spot? Would you mind? Everybody's just going around and briefly introducing themselves, and then what involvement you've had in the parade in years past, just so we have some sense of the expertise that we have in the room.
And you're starting with me. Thank you. Nancy Rogers, Chairperson of the Public Safety Committee. I'm honored to be here and be part of your agenda, number one, and have some of my committee members show up. The other thing is, in the past, I've always supported this committee and done whatever it is I needed to do or you asked me to do. Last year, I recall that, if I remember correctly, we were in the parade because I remember being abandoned on 67th Avenue halfway through the parade by the guy that was driving me. But nevertheless, we've done other things, working tables and things like that and working whatever. So I am here to do whatever you need. And I really appreciate the honor. Thank you.
Great to have you. Thank you very much, Nancy. My name is Mike Coote. I'm the chair for the Veterans Committee. I've enjoyed the parade for several years as a spectator, not realizing the amount of work that went into the parade. And then been involved with the Veterans Committee the last few years. This will be the first time that our group has been heading it up. And in years past, we had asked folks that were running things to give us some type of a continuity book, just so that we had a sense of what had been done in years past. And what we were told is, don't worry about it. We got it, which that's the chuckle. Exactly. Because of course, and then at that time, we made the point that maybe it would be a good idea, just in case some of the people that had been running things were no longer with us for one reason or another, by and large, other commitments. And that's exactly what happened. So we're going to be looking to a lot of you who have done this before. We have some sense, a general idea, but there's little details, as I don't know if you heard, Omar was talking about, I think before everybody arrived, he was in charge of the marshaling area. And he said, it's a great idea, I think, to get tape from your department, because a lot of the parents that drop off kids will try and insist on parking in that marshaling area, which they learned, through trial and error, that unless you mark it off and specifically prohibit people from coming in, you end up with a huge mess of people coming in, leaving, and you lose a lot of control. So those little nuggets are really great things and what my plan is this year is we're going to capture our lessons learned so that, when the time comes next year, the year after, we can pass it off to the next person, and they'll have a better sense of where to start, rather than every time we're doing it as if it's the first time. I'm sorry, go ahead, Neil. Of course, yes. Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course I will.
Especially that one who's going to be leaving us and he's about to go into retirement. So we certainly want to hear from him. He's been around such a long time. I don't know who he is, but he's really a nice guy.
Yeah, I've been doing this, I guess it's like 2005, and I can tell you right now, we're in good hand with Charles, Neil, and Omar. They've been, and all the ones that I've been, so they've been here longer than me. And I got Robin here, so that way, when I leave, he's gonna be well trained, so at least he'll go through one of these. But it always seems to work out at the end. When you have these guys there, it always seems to work out at the end, so it's not gonna be a problem.
Hello. Good evening, everyone. Officer Robin Amador, and yeah, I'll be taking Juan's place in a little bit, and I got big shoes to fill, but we'll see what happens. It's an honor to be here also. I've been since 2008 doing traffic and safety for the parade, and approximately 4 years ago, I became part of the parade as the honor guard. So looking forward to that every year.
Thank you both very much for that. So if we could, we'll go ahead. I'll ask you to please stand. We'll observe a moment of silence in lieu of prayer. And then I'll ask Mario Chavez to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So we'll stand for a brief 30 seconds for a moment of silence, and then we'll recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Mario. United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. Okay, so the Veterans Day Parade will be on November 7th this year. It's a Sunday. November 11th is the actual Veterans Day, which is a Thursday. So obviously, if we tried to have it then, participation might be a bit limited. But we would just want to go through, and everybody should have an agenda. Veterans Day activities, we can skip that. Number 3 is sponsors. Aisle, Ms. Pastora, I believe everybody knows, people that are involved with the committee certainly should know Ms. Aisle Pastora. She's taken the place of Willie Sanchez, and she serves as our liaison, and I think a liaison for most of the other committees in town as well, between the volunteer committees and the town of Miami Lakes. So Aisle, the sponsor packets, I know we've put things up on social media. Do we have anybody who's gotten back to you yet at this point?
They were just published, so I haven't checked. If you guys give me a couple minutes, I can let you know. But the Eventbrite page is up, and I believe I shared the links with the whole Veterans Committee at this point.
But we confirmed that it had been posted on Instagram and Facebook, the sponsorship, soliciting sponsors, but I don't know what we've gotten back, or quite frankly, what we need to get back to host the parade. In the terms of dollars, we'll get into that in a little bit with the vehicles, et cetera, but I don't know what we need in terms of money from the various corporate sponsors.
I'd have to get back to you. As you know, the town sets aside a budget for this that does not come from the Veterans Committee. So I'm pretty sure with whatever we've done in previous years, we've taken care of it, but I can get back to you with numbers. As of right now, I don't have that information.
And then the idea of the sponsors, which everybody remembers from 2 years ago, they were here. Again, I don't mean that certainly many of you who've been involved from the beginning are familiar with the sponsorship involvement, but my familiarity is when our committee worked with them 2 years ago in 2019, and they sent up tents and passed out little free items and had the conclusion of the parade going up Main Street between Town Hall and that next road, which is Eagle Nest, the one that goes in by the ale house and behind old Tony Roma's, Chella's, that road that goes by there. Right. Mhm. Yeah. But yeah, just right up here. I mean, the parade came up here, finished here, and then there was a section where rather than just walking up to the cars, people had an opportunity to stop at some tents. That was my familiarity with the sponsors, but I don't know what else they provided besides that.
Yeah, so there's just so everybody's aware, there's 3 levels of sponsorship. I have them pulled up here. So our biggest sponsor would be the $5,000 level, and it's pretty much the title sponsor. And then we have sponsorship levels at 1,000. One of them is the sponsor for the lunch. And then the rest are other $1,000 level sponsorships that we call platinum sponsors. And they are the ones that have promotional booth spaces.
So.
Promotional
I have
booth
questions.
spaces like tables.
Do we have a list of the tents that were up along the street last year? Do we have a list of those vendors or those sponsors that we can contact again?
Yes, I'm actually going to be sending them. Well, I have to check for you for that. Sorry, I'm confusing things. I have to check for the ones that paid sponsorship, but just so you know, we do have the information pulled for whoever previously participated in the parade, and I'm going to be contacting them tomorrow morning with the registration links. But I'll check on the paid sponsorships for you.
Nancy. But it's being videotaped, so for their
forget
purposes. don't
I'm
mind.
sorry. Anyway, I believe it was 2 years ago, the last time we had a parade, correct? Okay, and there was I believe, a title sponsor, and was that Miami Lakes Auto Mall where we had the different magnetic signs on the sides of the car? So is that our title sponsor again for this year? We don't know
They
yet.
have not come in yet, and I believe you guys are working on a different car
They
loaner.
had provided the vehicles. That was a question I had, if that was different from being the title sponsor. They provided the cars that we use to transport, the dignitaries and the beauty queens and the et cetera. But I don't know if that actually also equated to money. That was my question.
And the other part of my question is the particular magnetic banners that go on the sides of the car. Who paid for those? Did the committee pay for those?
No, the committee doesn't pay for anything for the
Okay.
parade. It's a separate budget that the town has. And I have to get back to you because I'm not sure if they paid $5,000 cash in on top of the car loaners or if that was, built into the value of what they gave us. So I have to get back to you on that.
So regarding that, I have a question as well. So looking at the Eventbrite, it says that the platinum sponsor is $1,000, the title sponsor 5,000, and the Vets Lunch sponsor 1,000. Shouldn't there be a little bit of a difference between the Vets Lunch and the rest of the platinum sponsors? Because my understanding from at least how I read this, there's only going to be one sponsor for the Vets Lunch, right? So you're kind of grouping everyone together, but they get that $1,000 and they're going to be separate and apart than the rest of the platinum sponsors, at least how it's written out here on Eventbrite. So typically, at least in my understanding of how these things are done, there's 3 tiers. Maybe the Vets Lunch, since they're going to be separate and unique as a part to the rest of the platinum ones, maybe we should consider either raising that one or providing different options, because the Vets Lunch is, if it's like the old one, right? Not the one last year that we didn't do, but the one before, it was a separate event, not separate event, but it was at the end of the parade. So their opportunity for branding is going to be separate and distinct as a part to the rest of the $1,000.
You're right, Ed. That's a good point. It was Mission Barbecue had provided all the meals. It wasn't in the form of a cash, but it was a cash equivalency.
Right.
And I think they had it in this building. Yeah.
But my point is that maybe we're missing an opportunity there by not distinguishing that sponsor, right? So we have the name brand that's $5,000, right? Or whatever. And then you're lumping in the platinum guys with the lunch sponsor that's going to be separate and apart. That's going to have a little bit more branding just for themselves. Does that make sense?
I can take that back and see if we can do anything about it. To be completely honest, these were the same, the levels have been kept from 2019. So they haven't changed, and that's pretty much what we've done historically, but I can take it back and see if we
I
can
just think that's a
change-
different opportunity.
No, you're
They-
right. Your point
they're
is
not
well
the same
taken. Yeah.
opportunities. You know what I mean?
And I'm sorry, Daniel, you had something?
There's a slight typo under title sponsor. It says naming rights for 2019 Veterans Day Parade. I just wonder if that can get fixed.
Of
'cause
course.
People may not sign up if they think it's outdated. So,
Got it. Thank
yeah,
you.
no problem.
Yes, Neil.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to follow up with Ian regarding the magnetic signs that go on the cars. My committee I think it was in January, approved the creation of signs for us. The last time that we were in the parade, we had an old outdated sign that was just hideous. I mean, and so we asked, not only did we ask, but we appropriated dollars to create a sign so that it is similar to all the rest of the signs that are on the car. So it looks uniform. It just says cultural affairs. And I believe the amount was like $250 or $300 that we appropriated to make sure our signs, were replica of what the other signs look like. And they're all magnetic. One on each side of the car.
Yeah, they should all follow the same look.
Yeah, but I'm saying last year they didn't. We had a
Okay.
little sign that was just really very.
I don't
poor.
know, that may have been maybe if it was done last minute after printing, that's the only thing I can see
Well, I
happening,
don't
but
know
if,
what it was. But
right
the
now
point
we're
was is that
ordering it
my
all
committee
together.
Made sure that this year
Okay,
that we appropriated the necessary dollars to make sure that the sign coincided with that of the other sign, so that it was uniform looking. So
Yeah, I'll definitely
please
make
check,
note of it
make sure
that,
that, and I think if you check our minutes in January, we approved those dollars to do that. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir. And then your point was not just that the Cultural Affairs Committee sign was different, but rather you were charged with ensuring that all the signs were uniform, or just that the Cultural Affairs Committee matched everybody else's.
That's correct. What the other signs look like, because it's standard. You know, you've got the elected official signs and you've got the various committee signs. And so we wanted to be uniform. And again, that year, it was just a little sign. It was about like that. It was only one. And so when I came back to our meeting in January, we passed the authorization to go ahead and create a sign that's similar or just like the other sign so that it looks uniform.
Yes, sir. Now, of course, I think the point being, though, you shouldn't have to spend any of your money to ensure that your sign is
I
the
know.
same, right? So the
So we
aisle, is that something that?
I'm not sure to what you're referring to because this was before me, but I'll definitely check.
check with Willie, he knows.
But from my understanding is everybody's signs that go on the cars, as you mentioned, they are supposed to go on both sides, not just one, and everybody's supposed to have a uniform look.
Not to beat a dead horse, the issue was that the last time when we started over at Roberto Alonso Community Center and drove through because of the COVID, we had a little orange sign that was about that big, and it just did not reflect who we were. And so I said, well, I want to make sure. And so again, we just want to be uniform. It looks good because we're all part of the town of Miami Lakes, and we just want it all to look great. So
Mr. Robinson, if you don't mind, would you mind the lead on the signs? I know you'll be working with the town,
I'll
but
work
to
with you on that
ensure,
next sign.
right,
Be
rather
my
than.
pleasure.
Yes,
My
thank
pleasure,
you,
sir.
sir.
So one of the things that I deal with every year are the cars, the loaner cars. And one of the things that I came across in the last parade for 2019 was that a lot of the Jeeps are coming with plastic doors. Guess what happens with the magnetic signs? They don't stick. Not only that, but the sign is so big that it takes the door plus a portion of the back door if it was to stick. The only place it sticks is a little metal piece, I think, that's in between the front door and the back door.
Yeah, we've definitely made note of it. Claricel updated me on that issue that you guys had, so I'm aware, and we are working to get signs that are obviously going to fit the car. But just an update on that, we are not going to have loaner cars from Miami Lakes Auto Mall as we originally had. Michael is working on confirming someone else for that. So we have to get with that sponsor to make sure that it matches the signs that we're getting.
I can actually jump ahead just because we're on the subject. But I met with Mr. Fred Senra at the Auto Mall, and he said that, which I'm sure everybody is aware, because of the issues that they're having with the semiconductors and cars, there's a huge shortage of vehicles that has been affecting the entire country. And so he said that, quite frankly, he does not have the cars to give us loaners like he has in years past. So thinking ahead, he had been approached by a group of Jeep enthusiasts called the Miami Jeep Pull-Up. And apparently they meet once a month and will go to various areas in town for some photo ops and then an activity afterwards. And apparently that group has been after sponsors, Jeep sponsors, to get discounts on parts and affiliation sponsorship. So Mr. Senra used that opportunity and said, hey, boy, do I have a deal for you guys. If you give us the Jeeps for this event on the November 7th, I'll agree to sponsor you. And that will include discounts on service, et cetera. And so the gentleman in charge of that group, a gentleman by the name of Mr. Dave Johnson, indicated that yes, his group was committed to supporting the parade. He thought he could get as many as 20 vehicles. He committed to, at this time, 10 vehicles. He said, right now, without talking to anybody, I can guarantee 10. At his next event that they have in the middle of October, he's going to confirm the additional 10 vehicles. And Mr. Senra indicated that if there was a shortfall of just a few vehicles, 2, 3, 4 vehicles, he could make that up with what he has in stock, but he couldn't give us more than a handful.
So do we have an idea? Because last year was different, right? Because we all had to have cars, but how many cars do we need for this parade? Do you have an idea?
No, we don't. Historically, it's
It's the
been
mayor,
about
the
that number,
councils? Yeah,
Yeah.
20,
between
right?
15 and 20.
Right.
So we just went with, overage, saying we needed 20. And then we'll just back off from there once we get an idea of who is going to be participating. Which actually then leads us, which is a great point, Ed, into number 4, which is participants. And Mr. James, I'll defer to you because I actually got an email earlier saying that you were the guy, so.
Yeah, well, what I really concentrate on is the military units. And so I've already contacted the supervisor of all the JRTC, and tomorrow he's gonna reach out with them with an email. And along with Omar, what we usually do is we have 5 sections. And so we're trying to get 5 bands and 5 JRTCs, 1 in each group. And then we augment the other organizations in with those, but we try to have 1 band and 1 JRTC unit with each of the groups.
And if you wouldn't mind, could you probably detail that a little bit more? So in its
Right.
entirety, I think last year or the year before, not the vehicular parade, but the marching parade, if I remember correctly, we had somewhere close to 100 entities that were
Right.
represented.
Right,
And with that, then you form them into 5 groups.
right,
So that would be to say that you have roughly 20 entities in each group.
right.
And then in each one of those, you put a band and a
JRTC,
military unit.
Right,
And then it might be the karate kids,
right. and
the
maybe
cheerleaders.
Girl Scouts,
Yep.
Boy Scouts, other groups. And I think we had a list of how we did it before.
Yeah,
So we
do.
could kind of dovetail on that list, maybe delete who's not gonna be there and maybe add somebody in. But I think if Omar said that 5 was about a good number, it spread you out enough. And then we went with group 1, let's go. Group 2, let's go. Group 3, let's go. And then we ended up with group number 5. We also have a special flag folding ceremony, and that is done by American High School. I've already talked to the commander of American High School. It's a young lady now, and she's on it. And so I talked to Elise, and she's gonna get the flag. And they normally like to get the flag a couple of weeks in advance so they can practice with the actual flag that they're gonna use. And that's near the end, after the speaker, and right before we end, we do a flag folding ceremony. And then they present it to the Grand Marshal.
And I remember, I don't remember the young lady's name, but I do remember the impression she made, and she was very, very sharp. That entire group really did a heck of a job, and that would be the same.
It's the same group. It may be a different young lady, that one may have graduated, but it's a very good program, one of the best. So.
And I'm sorry,
whoever-
who is that, Mr. James? What's,
American High School. Right. And her name is Sergeant, yeah. Sergeant First Class Richardson is a contact, and I'm gonna give that number to Elise, and whenever she gets it, you can call me, and I'll make sure that American gets the flag.
and she's the cadre advisor for
Yes,
the
sir.
JROTC?
Right. They usually have an officer, but he took a leave of absence, so
Okay.
she's there by herself, but she's very well familiar with, she actually brought the kids.
Okay.
But those kids came separately, because it's about 12 of them that
Mhm.
do the flag fold.
Right.
But they also had a separate unit in the parade,
Mhm.
so they actually had 2 units. And we had HML, Miami Jackson, Central, America. It's about 5 of them. We're trying to get.
And
at
you'll
least
reach
5.
out to them
Yes, sir.
individually?
I've already done
Okay.
today.
And then the other participants, is it a push or is it a pull? Are we reaching out to them individually, asking if they want to participate? Or are they telling us, once we announce it, we're getting an influx of requests to join the effort? What has it been traditionally? Do you guys know?
Yes, I think what they really did, they sent out a notice to those people that participated before. You know, please commit by such and such a day and how many you're gonna have, and also a little small bio. And then they give that to me, you know, Girl Scout troop number 304, establishing, you know, 1999. They have 43 people in the troop, and then they walk by. So we asked them for a little small bio, along with their commitment that they're gonna be in. And then they have a number. Omar probably know, but they have a number when they sign in. You're number 24, group 4. So when they go to group 4, they know they get behind group number 23 or get behind group number 10 or whatever.
And then do we, when we get there, they fill out the form,
Right,
HML, we want to participate with the Fighting Tigers.
right.
Do we assign that number to them and the groups?
They will already have that number on the board. So when they sign in, they will give them that number.
But we're doing that.
Right, right.
Good. And when I say we,
Right.
it's
Every now-
been you, Omar,
right,
that's done that, or?
Every now and then,
Okay.
right.
So prior to their arrival, the participants don't know where they're
Right.
going to be in the parade.
Right.
We
Right.
have a sense, right? But in other words, when they show up, they're showing up and they don't know.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes, they check in. Yeah,
okay,
right.
okay. All right,
And we have a representative at each one of those 5 groups.
okay.
So they know that, you know,
In other words, they don't know beforehand. They don't have a, okay,
right,
right, because so many people are
Right.
last minutes, yeah, yeah.
right, yeah.
And then,
So
so
we
then,
always try to start it out with a band and a ROTC.
okay.
And then everybody else just kind of falls
All right.
in.
And then, so if you don't mind, you indicated that you've reached out to the
Yes,
JROTC
sir.
folks. So
Yes,
I'm going to put that as officially
Right,
Mr. James, our JROTC, yeah?
right. I'm the contact.
And the
for them.
flag folding ceremony.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
I
sir.
got that. too.
I'd like to add to Charles' point. I know you asked who was reaching out to the sponsors, if it's a push or pull. Just so you know, we do have the full list of that's what I was mentioning earlier. I have the full list of the past participants. So those are the ones I'm going to be reaching out to tomorrow morning, letting them know, hey, we need you to sign up here. If you're interested, we'd like to welcome you back to our parade.
Right.
But I know that there's a couple key ones that you are the one that has a contact
Right.
with.
You send that letter, but then the supervisor is gonna call individual ones and try to get at least 5.
Yeah, if there's any that I don't, apart from the JROTC ones, right? Because I know it's a bunch of participants in the parade as a whole. If there's any that I have any issue getting confirmation from, I will reach out to you guys in case you guys have contacts like I know you do.
Okay,
So we'll be in touch, keeping each other up to date as to who's been confirmed and who hasn't. And then just to get back to your question of sponsorships, I just checked, we don't have any new sponsors, and I do have the sponsor list from last year. I can tell you that our biggest sponsor, which was the title sponsor for $5,000, was the cruise line. And I don't know if that's gonna be happening again this year. We'll definitely be reaching out, but they've obviously been hit. And then we had another $1,000 sponsor, which was Leon Health Services.
We obviously don't want to double dip on sponsors either, right? You're not going to have one medical service and then another one if they're titled sponsors, right? So are we going to have a list so we don't?
Well, Leon wasn't the title sponsor. They
No, I
were a
get it.
regular platinum sponsor, and platinum sponsors, we can have more than
We're
one
going to have more of the same industry
of the,
as a platinum sponsor?
I'm sure we're not gonna deny the money if they want, if they have a preference that like they want their booth separates, maybe, then we can accommodate that.
Anybody else have anything to add on the participants? Calvin?
Yes, typically when they come into the registration table, you give them a sheet, right? And it has the number, and that's gonna be their order number as they walk out into the parade. As you mentioned, there's anywhere close to like 60 to 100 different organizations. So each one will have the number they walk out, and you're gonna need somebody with a bullhorn directing that traffic, telling them, because they're, doing other stuff and they don't realize they're next, and they're, You need somebody kind of directing that traffic.
I'm sorry, that's in the marshaling area when they
Yes.
come?
Where they come out of the parking lot and go into the parade route.
And I don't want to be seen to be taking advantage of the man with experience, but would you be willing to do that? Have you done it
Sure.
before? or-
Well, I ended up doing it in 2019 because everybody kind of scattered and there was nobody there to do the traffic. So somehow I ended up with a bullhorn.
Well, rather than, I mean, was there something else that, given your experience, that you think you would be better suited doing and we could utilize your talents and we could kind of just have somebody else, that doesn't have the skill set to yell at people and tell them to go left and right?
Normally I do the cars, volunteering with the driving and deal with the drivers.
Right.
But if we're getting that Jeep group,
Right.
I think they're probably going to drive their own Jeeps.
They are.
So you're going to have drivers there and you're only going to need whatever drivers, Auto Mall fills in.
Right.
So it won't be that many. So sure, I mean, I can do that.
Great.
It's not a
Okay.
problem.
If you don't mind, then I'll
Yeah,
put
no
you down
problem
for
at all.
that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you, Calvin.
My pleasure.
Okay, so item number 5, then on the next page, we've addressed the sponsors, the participants, cars, we've addressed already. The Grand Marshal is something that's gone out on the town's social media, Instagram and Facebook. We're soliciting nominations for Grand Marshals candidates, which will come to our committee, the Veterans Committee. And then we'll make a decision. We ask them to close that out on the 15th of October, just to give us enough time to review the potential candidates and then offer it to whoever is selected. I think there was an occasion a couple of years ago where we offered it to somebody and they said they prefer not to. So that will give us the opportunity to kind of complete that process. So that's been addressed already. The next item is the route, and I've heard a couple of different comments about the route. We're going to start it in the same place where it's, I'm
Mr.
sorry,
Chair,
go ahead.
but
Yes, sir.
Before you move forward, let me let me understand that the Auto Mall will only provide a maximum of maybe 10 cars this year, if that many. The rest of them will be provided by I think you call it Miami Jeep pull-up group.
Yes, sir. That's
And
correct.
they will provide their own driver
Yes, sir. Correct.
and we will be able to affix our signs to those vehicles.
Well, they did ask, that was a question, and I didn't know at the meeting that we had last week. They said, do you want the tops on or off? And then do you want doors on or off? And so I said, well, unless you hear otherwise, currently tops off,
Doors on.
doors on.
Yeah, I got it. And the other issue is that for our elected officials, we usually provide the vehicles, Miami Lakes Auto Mall usually provide the vehicles for our elected officials. So we got 7 elected officials? And so they will be, Auto Mall is going to provide those 7 cars?
No, sir.
It's still going to be the Jeep?
Yes, sir. It would be the Jeeps. The
Okay.
intent was,
Okay.
and Mr. Senra's intent was that all the vehicles come from the
Jeep.
Jeep. And he said, if you need a couple of specialty, maybe I can get you a Corvette or something.
Right.
I might be able to give you 2, but I can't
Can't
give
do
you
the-
more than, he said, top would be 4.
4.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right.
And so the next item then, item number 7 was the route, which is the right across from Wells Fargo on the west side, 15600 Northwest 67, which is Bull Run. That's where the marshaling area was at. The parade moved east onto 67th, then turned south. And I was a bit unsure, did they turn east on New Bern or on Eagle Nest? Yes, sir. So they turned on Eagle Nest, brought it around, gave them a lot of dispersion. Right. Yes, sir. Okay. And then they finished right here, or they finished back? Yep. Right. The V. Yep. Okay. And that's in keeping with what you guys are tracking as well? Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm sharing it on the screen for you guys
Ah,
and I
okay.
can reshare it through email just so you guys have it.
Yep. Okay. And then that, I guess we would defer to you, which I understand you're working directly with the town, but the number of officers that you'll need on extra duty and you're going to do all that. Okay. All right, very good. Thank you, sir. The next one is item 8, which is the marshaling area. I think we got a little bit ahead of ourselves, but you mentioned something when we came in, Omar, and you talked about taping things off because there was an issue with people kind of coming in and going out. But could you please give us a little more detail on what the issue was and then what the solution is?
What happened is that the day of the parade, you have parents and family and other one that they come and drop out their kids, but instead of go looking for another parking, they'll go inside. And what happened is you're gonna have cars parked, you have bands in there, you have all those, other people trying to line up for the parade, and there's no space. And then you have cars that is leaving and this and that, which it create a chaos.
And so what was the solution to mitigate?
Use the police not crossing and
Caution tape?
yeah, caution tape and seal everything.
But, and then what do the parents do that are dropping off the kids? So where do they park outside and then walk them in?
Yeah, actually now it's better because now they have a entire parking building. Yeah.
Sometimes they just there's a drop off area on the south side. On the south side of the marshalling area, we put signs there that say drop off here. So they drop off the kids with the band instruments or whatever, and then the parents go park and the kids go to wherever group they need to be in.
And do we assume any responsibility? I'm just imagining if I was dropping off my kids when they were younger and it said drop off, I say, okay, you're good, guys, get out of the car. Come on, I got people behind me. Do we then, is there somebody that grabs the kids or they should be with adult supervision if they're really small?
Yep, some parents will walk their kids to the group and then go park.
Okay. Yes, sir.
No, I was just gonna say, and then they'll see the group if they're with the band. That's Barbara Goldman, so they got the band uniform, so they just go and join. But the smaller kids, like you say, the parents walk them up, like the Girl Scouts is probably the smallest group they have. So they were brought, and then the sponsors there as well. Normally they have 2 or 3 adult sponsors. So they will be there. They know the kids by name. What troop are you in? 404. Okay, 404 is in group 2. And we
Okay.
just kind of lead them over there.
Sir, thank you, sir. Yes, Nancy.
I'm trying to figure this thing from beginning to end. You've got a drop off point and the staging area is out here in the back parking lot. Is that the staging area where all
The staging areas
No,
where the parking lot where Lakes Radiology was pretty much.
the parking lot where what is?
Lakes Radiology.
Oh, okay. And so, and that parking lot, as far as your great idea about marking it off with some kind of tape, are you going to have areas there marked off where this high school is going to be here or whatever? And if you do that, it would be helpful perhaps to provide for each group that's going to be attending just their own little map of what section, and if you're going to use the tape or whatever on the ground, give it a number. And then you have a list of the numbers of you're going to be here and you're going to be there and your number is 1 and your number is 2. And then there it is on the ground. And if you can count, you ought to be able to find where your space is. And I think that would be helpful if everybody's not walking around asking where's my section. And again, I apologize if you've got a better way, but I'm trying to think ahead here.
I vaguely remember that we did have the sections that you had highlighted, section 1, 2, 3. Those were highlighted. And I don't remember if it was somebody holding a sign or if it was up on a pole, but there was something that you could look through and you could see, oh, there's section 2. But I don't remember how that was affixed. Was it? Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was just two wooden stakes. Omar usually has a pile of wooden stakes. And we go in the morning, like at 7 o'clock in the morning, staking down and stapling all the numbers for the big, they're ginormous numbers. I don't know who
Yeah.
prints all that stuff.
Did we provide that or did you guys take that on? Oh, you did it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Thank you in advance.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Exactly. Yes, sir.
yeah, there was a bunch of numbers on a,
Yeah.
somebody-
Well, it was
somebody
good,
has to-
good. It was good thought. Yes, ma'am. Hmm.
Technically, one of us should be in each section and we'll be guiding the person. Unfortunately, many times nobody was there. I mean, that we didn't have enough volunteer, and the volunteer that we have were young people that didn't know what they were doing. So that's why we run into problems. But if this time we do it, like have somebody for one section and just that one section, it will be a lot better because now they will go to the signing desk. She would tell them what section to go. Once they get there, then you have the person that will guide them to where they're supposed to stand. Another thing, vehicles usually will go into the 6 on the outside on the road. Why? Because some of them are big and they cannot turn that much over there in that parking lot. And the other thing is, you don't want to hit another kid, with a vehicle. So, for safety, and sometimes what they do is they park along the street, but they have the number. So whoever is telling them to go, they already know, this person first, and then the vehicle that go with them. That's supposed to be the idea.
That was one of the points that came up with these Jeeps. And they asked, what is going to be our configuration in the parade? And they said, we would like to be one elongated 20. And I said, quite frankly, I don't think it's going to, you'll probably be in groups of 5. And so and I don't know that to be true, but my thinking was that as we broke them out into separate groups, you have elected officials, you have the beauty queen, you have the grand marshal, that you don't need, each one of those would be represented in one of those 5 groups, is my assumption. But is that true?
Well, all the Jeeps came in and they were lined up. And we say the mayor here, vice mayor here, and then the other auxiliaries was also in the same area. And then they just walked up and got inside of their vehicle. And then they were the first, the band was first, and then I think the color guard, the band, and then the grand marshal, and then the mayor and all that dignitaries. And by that time, all those 12 or 15 cars already gone. And then the marching units would then start.
Okay, so the vehicles that were given to us by the auto mall
Right.
in years past stayed together.
Right, right.
Okay,
All them, right, yeah. Right, yeah. Right. Right.
I'm sorry, Ed, it was elected officials, the different
the committee.
committees.
And then unit number 1.
Do we have any beauty queens, or do we know, like Miss Miami Lakes, or, no?
A couple of years ago, we had one though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And
Okay.
usually the county commissioner who is for this district, they show up, they always have a fall.
Oh, okay.
And I think state representative, whoever's from this district, sometimes they show up.
Hmm.
So but they have the cars centralized, so all the Jeeps will be centralized
Okay.
in one location.
Oh,
And
great,
then the signs will come out and he will put them on each one of the vehicles. So we
fantastic.
got one for the mayor, one for the vice mayor, one for the council members, then committee members, and again, other elected officials that may be And it's a very orderly process. They do a really great job in doing that every year.
Mhm.
Normally, the vehicles will be there by 8 AM.
Yeah.
Before the kids start getting dropped off,
Okay.
and all that stuff, and they park
sit down.
right behind the building.
Okay.
Section 1? It's in section 1.
Also too, we have somebody that those that come in buses, we'll have somebody to tell the buses where to park. And then also at the end where they come around to pick the kids up.
Now, that
They
was,
drop-
I
They
think,
drop the kids off at the drop-off point off the bus, school, a lot of them school buses. And
okay.
then we tell them where to park during the parade. And then when they come back through, they know where to come back to pick the kids up from.
So some of the participants and the football
Right.
team, rather than all the parents bringing them here individually, they'll meet at their school, get in a school bus, be driven here, and then be dropped off here, march in the parade, and then get back on the school bus. Are we responsible for coordinating the school bus?
We'll just tell them where to park.
Where to park,
Yeah, well,
okay.
The other thing though, some of the ROTC units may ask for a bus fee to pay for the bus.
Okay.
And they will contact her and let her know. I mean, they usually give them a pretty good rate if it's a parade, because it's not that much traffic on a Sunday. So we're not really competing with anybody, but they will let her know. I also need to pay for the bus. So what they would normally do is bring the voucher with them and either give it to her or they'll pay for it or let her work out how she want it done.
Mhm.
Whether she wants them to bring her the voucher and then she'll pay them directly, or for the school to pay it out of their funds and then they reimburse the school.
And my understanding that is historically, we, the town, has paid for buses.
Right.
That's not a new
Yeah.
thing.
I think
Right.
it said from $100 to $150,
Right,
somewhere
okay.
in that neighborhood.
And that's for specifically who or what buses are we paying
The
for?
buses that request, some of the
Okay, but
ROTC.
is it ROTC or is it anybody?
ROTC and bands are normally 90% of those that request, because
Okay.
those are school kids.
Okay.
The adults normally find a way
Mhm.
themselves how to get there, but it's
Okay.
normally the high school bands, but like Barbara Goldman, they'll walk over here. American, they'll walk over here.
Okay.
So if there's other bands, they may ask for a bus to bring their
Okay.
participants.
Thank you, sir.
The other thing I wanted to mention that I don't see here is a section for volunteers. It's very important
Okay.
that there's a lot of volunteers. I know what they're doing. 2 years ago in 2019, we had a organization, there were two volunteers, right? There was a church organization and there was a CERT. I don't know who CERT is, CERT.
It was a high school, I think, one of their volunteer groups, but we also have youth activities. We could maybe contact them and see if they would provide some volunteers. And they do things like helping with the putting the kids in the right place. They also have a couple of water points that they have, and they man the water points so that when kids come by or participants come by and they need water, they have them. I think it was a couple of locations. They put them on the corner, and they were out there earlier. They dropped them off, and the kids just stayed there, and passed out water as a participant came.
And the water, if I remember correctly, was donated.
Right.
But if it's not, it doesn't matter. We need to ensure that we have water.
I think Costco has always been the one.
Oh,
that donated.
Publix, actually. Yeah,
Oh,
Publix gave us
Publix,
a
okay.
pallet of water.
All
Yeah.
right, right, somebody. like
And the CERT, you're right. I remember them. That's, yeah, the emergency, I'm sorry. Yeah. Which the CERT folks? Yeah. The emergency response teams. I don't know what the
Right.
C was for. Community Emergency Response Teams. Are you guys familiar with them? Yeah. Yeah, I do remember, and they had radios, and they're there to
Right.
augment you guys, yeah, if need be.
Two-way radios, and they brought their own tents and stuff
Yeah.
like that, and they had vests on.
And vests and stuff, yeah.
I
the two-way
remember that one
radios.
guy. Yeah, they were very good too.
Mhm.
And so what we did, we augment kids with them. I think it was about 5 of them maybe. And then whoever the the student volunteers, we just put them with them, say, hey,
Mhm.
whatever they ask you to do, you gotta do.
And then does anybody, I remember we met with those guys a few times when they indicated that they wanted to join us. I'm sure I have a card somewhere, but does anybody? I'll look. Do you, Isle, that might be something if you,
I have a contact.
oh, you are?
Yeah.
Oh, that's why
No,
you
I
were
can
saying
talk
these
to,
guys. Yeah.
No,
Oh,
I don't
okay.
know what sorts.
Oh, all right. Oh, okay.
Yes, I have a contact from sir that I can invite him on next time. on the
Yes,
next
please.
meeting.
Yeah, okay.
So.
That'll be great. Thank you.
Okay.
So I'll put you down for that then, Omar.
The other thing, since we're on the topic of volunteers, I don't see here the shirts. Normally at the very beginning, there's a box with the Veterans Day Parade shirts, and that's how people know, oh, do you work here? Can I ask you a question? That kind of stuff.
And I think that was mentioned earlier about, folks that have been participating had a collection of shirts going back, several years. And I do remember we did have, we had shirts last year, right? Yeah. You were passing them out last year or 2 years. But you passed them out last year. How many, do you remember how many we had? Okay.
Which is something that happened last year. I don't know if we can do this or not, but a lot of people would come up and ask, where can I buy a shirt? And that's something we might want to consider. I mean, you have to front the cost, but I had to turn people away. I'm like, these are for the committees, the public safety and all this. But there are people that are interested in buying that shirt. It might not have to be the same one that we have for the committees, but it would be something where we could like maybe offset some of the costs,
That's a great idea, actually, Ed. Yeah, fantastic. You're right. Because I remember that too. People were asking, hey, we want a couple extra shirts. We'll buy them. We don't mind buying them.
A couple of people also wanted them free too. I told them, can't do that. So that would be great too. So maybe $5, $10, $15 or something.
Yeah, we could make it an even number without the tax. That way they could just give us a big bill. We don't have change, but we can give you 2 shirts.
I'll check, yeah. But they definitely have to be different. And they need to be visibly different because we don't want them to be confused with volunteers.
And for the people that have been involved and have collected them over the years, it's a, moment like going to a concert. You don't want the exact same thing, but something with a logo. All right, let's move on then. The vendors and the sponsors tents. We had that big truck here last year that provided some type of experience. But if I remember correctly, one of the issues, it was something you could walk into and it had like a Kevlar vest, what you would wear if you were in combat with a helmet and night vision goggles and different things you could try on. But the only issue, but I think it was reserved because of the rules of the people that brought that. It was reserved for people that had some type of a military affiliation. So there's a lot of people, young people that said, hey, yeah, I want to check this out. And they were being turned away because they didn't have an ID card. And I thought, this is supposed to be a community event. I mean, so I didn't really, but are you familiar with the van? I think Willie is.
But
That's the recruiting district and I can contact them.
Oh, okay.
They were the one that had, it was the recruiters for this area.
Yeah, it had some neat kind of stuff in there, but they were very limited on who they would allow in, which I thought, defeated the purpose a little bit. Yeah. So if it would be nice to have it, in other words, if it was open to everybody. And if it wasn't going to be open to everybody, I think it would be better just not to have it, in my mind. Does people agree with that? Or, yeah. Pardon me? Well, I think the rules are in the town, outdoor events, social distancing, mask recommended, but it's left to the individual choice. Is that not the
yeah,
mandate?
as of right now, it's just recommended.
Yeah, recommended.
I don't
yeah.
know how things are going to look then
Yeah.
because I feel like it's always changing, but
Right.
as of right now, recommended.
But to Omar's point, in other words, we don't need to dictate masks because the town mandate is it's recommended, not obligated to wear.
It's
It's
recommended.
not
for now.
obligatory. Yeah.
I
Yes, ma'am.
believe what Omar meant, correct me if I'm wrong. He was talking about going into a vehicle, Jeep or whatever, and trying on masks and doing this and doing that. And the next guy behind me, you'd be sanitizing everything after every person. I think what he was saying was because of COVID, that particular idea would not be a safe thing to do this year. So perhaps some other kind of participation type event or group or whatever would be a better
Oh,
idea.
you're talking about the van going into the,
Right.
right,
right.
okay.
I
gotcha,
don't know
okay.
that that would be a good idea
Good, good. No,
this
That's a
year.
good point. Yeah.
It's just not safe and we don't need the liability.
Well, I'm sure that it might be something, that's a great point. If you wouldn't mind just asking them, I'm sure they've had to deal with this already. Yeah, okay. All right, very good. Yes, sir, thank you. The next thing, agenda or a program? I know we've done several events and we've had agendas, programs. Does this one necessitate an agenda or a program?
Yes, we did have one for the 40th, so the
Okay.
last normal one.
2 years, yeah.
We do have a program, and I think one of the Veterans Committee members had mentioned at your last meeting that they want some type of digital QR code thing to open up a digital program, which I said we can do because we did it at the mayor's gala.
Yeah. I
That
think
was
I
probably
mentioned-
you. I thought
Yeah,
you
yeah,
were
I
right,
mentioned
Daniel.
about the
Yeah.
QR code, some digital agenda
Yeah.
that can update
Okay.
as you go along.
Yeah.
Just an idea.
Oh, great.
Oh,
Okay.
but sorry, can you elaborate on that? Because I thought it was just a static thing. I didn't realize that you
Oh, well,
meant,
if it can be dynamic or it can be static, it just depends on
Yeah.
what we're able to do.
I don't know how crazy we can get, but we can definitely do a regular program. I'll check the
Okay.
details.
Okay.
I think there's online software that deal with that kind of stuff. And then you just download their app and then you get the program. You put what event is it you're going to and the program's there and you can dynamically update it.
Okay.
Is there an opportunity for you to get involved in this portion of it, Daniel? Or
I'm not into IT, but I can definitely look into it, into any
Okay.
apps or any,
would you mind reaching
You
out rather
could-
than coming through me? Just
Yeah, just send
speak
any
with Aisle
recommendations
Okay,
to my
yeah.
email.
okay.
And you have her contact info?
Yeah.
Okay. Larry?
Mike, in previous years, we passed out small American flags that were well received. I don't see anything this year about that. Will we be doing that? And who will supply the flags?
I can't say yes or no right now, but I can check for you.
Yeah, I mean, we had a bunches
They
of
were
them,
small
It was-
flags. We passed them out the last
Okay.
3 years.
but I don't remember where they came from.
The town purchased them.
Oh, they did?
So I'll
Yeah, and then they gave them to different individuals. They gave them some of the kids.
Yeah.
They gave them some of the parents.
Yeah, people had flags, yeah.
I gave out 100 of them.
And
Yeah.
they had bags of candy and stuff like
I
that.
think we all
going.
enjoy doing
Yeah.
that.
Well, usually what happens is that my committee, Cultural Affairs, we buy our own candy. So that when we're riding along, we can throw it out to the children. So I don't know if it was done.
sorry, just to understand, you guys buy candy for everybody that's going through the parade or just when
No.
you guys are?
Just for
Each
us.
and each.
When you
each-
guys are
each-
passing by,
Each
okay.
council member, the mayor, whoever, each Jeep buy their own candy.
Yeah.
Now, if you had some extra, and there a dignitary came and didn't have it, you might share it with another, but most of the council members brought their own, the mayor brought his own, and the committees brought their own. And they just kind of toss out to the kid, but we might have some in reserve for if we have somebody that's not on his own,
Hmm.
and they may give him a few pieces of candy.
I mean, perhaps it's not a bad idea if we are doing this as a community event rather than obligating the various committees and elected officials to bring their own candy. We buy a bulk supply of flags and a bulk supply of candy. I mean, especially this time of year with Halloween around the corner, hard candy, certainly not chocolate. But we could buy bags of that and then give it to the various entities, each committee, maybe the committee chairs, and they could give it to their people or pass it out in the Jeeps.
I'm making
Yeah.
note of it and I'll bring
Yeah,
it back to
okay.
him.
Thank you. And obviously we can ask, and if they don't, then it'll be incumbent upon the people
Yeah,
to buy
I'll
it
let you know
themselves.
either way.
Maybe Publix that's offering the water after Halloween, they'll offer candy bags as well, leftover candy that doesn't sell for Halloween.
Especially Costco,
Or that.
but they have a huge supply.
Yeah,
It's
very
left
good.
afterwards.
Are you volunteering for that, Calvin? Do I put your?
I'll volunteer to eat the candy, sure.
But we did, and we did last year, those were a couple of items that we did. We had various committee members go to the stores and ask if they were willing to donate on behalf of, they just wore their council, chair shirt or whatever. So is anybody willing to do that to, make the effort to go around.
Who's looking for the water? Whoever's looking for the water should do that.
Yeah, we hadn't assigned it yet, but yes, ma'am? Okay. Yes, ma'am. That's perfect. Thank you. Okay. And I'm vaguely familiar with it because I did the Publix, this Publix last year, so I guess I'll take on the Publix candy and water. That leaves a few more grocers that have not been solicited yet. Is there anybody want to raise their hand for their favorite grocery store or chain? Ma'am?
Right now, we're thinking in terms of water and candy at Publix and Costco and the bigger stores. But there are other venues, restaurants, whatever, that may want to purchase that stuff and donate it to us. Is that a possibility, or is there a problem with that? Can we do that? Because we have restaurants and whatever that are always involved with the town and providing provisions and whatever else and events for us. And they may wish to get involved and at least do it that way. So is there a problem
Yep.
with us approaching anybody and saying, hey, we need candy and water?
I would defer to Isle on that.
No, you're fine to do so. The only thing I ask is whoever anybody reaches out to, please let me know, just so that we have a cohesive list so that nobody's going back and forth. I any sponsor, so.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Okay, food stuff for the event, which is item 11. Not sure exactly, other than the meal following the parade, which last year was sponsored by Mission Barbecue. I'm sorry, 2 years ago. I suppose we could go back to them unless somebody else had some. Apparently, they're very veteran friendly and have been very generous in years past. So do we reach out to them, Isle, or is that something
I
the town
think we
does?
internally have a contact. If
You do?
that's not the case, I will come back to you
Okay,
guys with that.
sounds good. So I'll put you for that one. Master of Ceremonies, Mr. Charles, I'm sorry, Mr. James, you're going to do that. And then that ties into the next one, which is audio sound system. Is it the different groups? Is there something where they have music, they need to provide it in a USB or? And then the sound system, where does that all come
What we
from?
usually do is have a little DJ
Okay,
and play some spirited music as they passing by,
okay. And who provides the DJ?
the town. Things like $100
Yep.
or something. Like
Okay, and then,
They have a lot
but
of
you
spirit.
have a list of, and now, ladies and gentlemen, and then,
Right.
yep.
Each group, when they sign in, bring a little small bio.
Okay,
Or if not, you just make up something as a
okay,
Girl Scout Troop 304.
okay. Wonderful, great,
Can
thank you.
Can you share more details just so I better understand? I know you're saying that when the participants get to the parade, they give it to the DJ, whatever their music or sound is gonna be?
No, they do their own music. This is just a DJ there before the parade started and during the parade. If a band has come through, the DJ would then
Okay.
be silent.
So pretty much to fill in when there's
Right,
no
just, you know,
noise.
some
Okay.
Marine hymn, Air Force hymn, whatever. Just play a lot of spirited music while the people are marching that do not have a band with them.
Okay. So does anybody bring their own music if it's
Yes,
not a
the
band?
Star Wars people bring their
Okay.
own music.
Yeah.
And how
bring
do
in
they?
They have it on a, well, I'm talking about 2019. They have a USB
Okay.
and they gave it to the DJ and they played the
Oh,
Imperial
okay.
Death.
Oh,
March.
okay. If they give it to the DJ,
Right.
then.
No,
And
because
then-
I'm only thinking it can get so complicated if you allow every single participant to
Yeah,
bring.
no, I mean, most of the stuff it's like he says, they do it on their own, you know,
Okay.
like
Right.
the DJ.
They're playing the
understands-
music, right, you
the-
don't
the
need somebody
DJ
to play it
knows
for them.
what he's doing, but for them, since they're doing, they're the only ones I remember that had their own separate music.
The
That's
other
right.
thing too, that kind of slows it up, Mr. Chair, and you'll see, when people want to perform, we ask them to do it really quickly so they don't hold up the parade. They stop and, you know, like the Karate Kid, they want to do a 15-minute dissertation of flying through the air and all that. Now everybody is being held up because of them. So even the bands, you want them to play a little bit. Hey, take 3 minutes, take 2 minutes, and give us something, and then move on.
You have that stand. I
Where the
don't-
bleachers are.
Right.
I didn't know, I do, and I remember that part too. But then, and with their instructions, are they told you, because when they get there, that's where the bleachers are, which that's the next item.
Right.
But then they'll do their number and then move on. But what are we telling them when they get their packet? You can perform for 2 minutes, 3 minutes,
All of them are not gonna want to do it.
1 minute?
You think 2 minutes is not long, but it's very long when you're doing the parade. So I would.
What
I
happened,
think-
it creates gaps.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I remember.
And what happened is
Yeah,
people
yeah.
start leaving because they think it's over.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, people are leaving. There's still 20 groups walking or 20 entities.
But every
I remember
year-
that being an issue 2 years ago. We had the same issue. We talked about when they performed the gap, and a lot of people think the parade's over because of that gap. So the solution to that was we had radioed ahead or telephoned ahead for the groups ahead to hold off, to slow down, or to stop for, let's say if it's a 2-minute pause, they would stop for maybe 1 minute and 45 seconds, whatever amount of time. So there wouldn't be that much of a gap between. But that would require coordination of someone on their cell phone calling the next leader of that group number 5 or 4, whatever it is, to stop or hold in place
Yeah.
until they get the signal to go again.
Have we ever done that before?
Yes,
That's
we
an
did.
excellent
Yes,
idea.
That's exactly.
I mean,
what
they
we
just
did.
march in place instead of marching forward.
That's exactly what we did 2 years ago.
Okay.
But just think about it, like 40 groups at
No,
2
no.
minutes, it's
Yeah, no, no,
80
right,
minutes.
right,
You know, so it's gotta be, I think Larry, what was it, 30 seconds, something like that,
Yeah, it
right?
wasn't.
30
long. I
seconds?
recall.
Also, what happened in these gaps, yeah, we will stop let's say we stop the marching band, you know, like over here and waiting for them to finish. Well, they're under the sun. They're there about 10 minutes, you know, under the sun with all this marching things on. It's a killer. And you do that every other 5 minutes for another 10 minutes or whatever.
Mm.
So I think we should, you know, limit it to 2 minutes the most.
Or 30 seconds, yeah.
Or
yeah.
30 seconds,
Yeah.
whatever.
But,
Just,
but,
you
but
know.
is there a queue? Because, you know, obviously trying to maintain control and they kind of get off on their thing, you know, they, not to pick on the Karate Kids, but the Karate Kids get out there and they start pulling out their nunchucks and their poles and their swords. And now they're really getting into it. And then 20 minutes later, they're still spinning around. Is there some mechanism that we have to kind of give them the hook to keep them moving?
I would say we have somebody at the bleachers, if we're gonna have the bleachers where they're gonna perform, have somebody there and say, hey, if you're gonna
Oh.
perform, make this real short,
Mm,
because we got people behind.
mm.
And the other place is at the end, where I am, they always like to do a little bit, some at the end. So I just kind of, move them up.
Okay.
And this also, the other, as a parade progresses, the same, whichever organization it is, the Space Cadets, whatever, they have the signal that they're on hold and they can perform in place wherever they are, whatever point of parade they're at.
Mm.
So you have this simultaneous, everyone doing their 1 minute act or 2 minute act as the parade progresses. So it's not where it makes less of a slinky effect.
Yeah, I think the appeal to the bleachers is because that's the biggest concentration of folks. It's where the DJ is, the master of ceremonies, people sitting in the bleachers, and there's a congregation. Otherwise, people are kind of sparsely spread out. So I think there's a natural inclination to stop there and give their performance because they've been marching, waiting for that moment. But the idea, I guess, would be to limit them to, we're saying 30 seconds. Yeah.
I think, Mike, what we need to do is we need to get someone to coordinate the timing, come up with a plan, and then our next meeting, present that and see if it's acceptable.
Okay. Mr. Borman, are you willing to take that on? That sounds like an excellent idea.
I have a
Your-
question for the group based on that though. How much can we really coordinate if we don't have a full list of your people? I don't think you can successfully do so.
No, I mean, once the parades, once, we get on,
No, but you're saying to have it for the next meeting, right?
well, just an idea of
Yeah,
how we
you
could
would
do
need-
it.
First off, you would need to know exactly who the performers are, what type of time they're going to need, and take a look at the whole picture. How many people are in the parade, and then decide at what point, where we're going to place them, what their timing's going to be. And who's going to call up ahead to the leader of the following group, let them to hold in place while they're performing. So that the parade progresses all together. We don't have large gaps or minimize the gaps if any. So there's a little bit more work to be done before we can actually do that.
Yep.
And I don't see it possible to do it. this
Okay.
evening.
All right.
Well, I can tell you that we try that every year and it never works.
Yeah.
We try to do that every year, and the dance groups and the karate kids, they never, you can tell them 2 minutes and it'll be 5. You can tell them 30 seconds and it'll be 2. But what we need to do is have somebody or the DJ that when they do take longer is, hey, look, pull a plug, but then they might get mad. But every year we try that, and every year is the same thing.
I
That's a good-
agree. And the backup plan is obvious. The person that's on the phone to the following groups, they're going to give them a signal, okay, we're clear. So they're not watching their watch. They're actually waiting for the okay from the person that's passing on the signal. We run into the same thing with speakers. We give them 1 minute and they talk for Michael Taylor.
I
That's
think,
that's a good point, because we could go with, the music like they do at the Academy Awards, when they start getting a bit long-winded, the music is the cue, it's time to get off stage, so.
if anything, we can, as you mentioned, tell them, okay, 30 seconds and cut off the music. And I know that feels a little bit rude, but we can just tell them in advance, we need you to stick to 30 seconds. After 30 seconds, the music changes.
Well, we have said that in large part, we can cut the music off for the people that are performing to music. But if it's a band or something like that, then their cue will be the Academy Award music starts coming in and starts to overshadow their own, and that will be their, time to move on.
They sell hair boys.
Oh, no, my goodness. Bleachers. I'm sorry, did you have something, Omar?
Well, through the years, I think it will be a good idea if we have a police officer there at the, but see, I don't know how much, whatchamacallit, the impression of, and the police officer to have a whistle. And, after the 30-second, he just starting to whistle people to move.
That was me, Omar, but it doesn't work. I didn't have the whistle, but I mean, you're there, but like I said, and it's basically the dance schools, because they perform like, the bands are not a problem, because the band will sit there for 30 seconds or a minute and they'll do their stuff and they go. It's just the dance schools that they'll do one number and then they'll have another number, and then somebody else will do another number, and or maybe say no solos or something, maybe just a whole, that's what happened. We'll have like 3 girls do a solo, and then somebody else will come do a solo, and then
You're
somebody
exactly-
else, and then that school is the one that messes everything up.
The
It's
point,
usually the dance school.
I agree, I agree, and I understand what exactly you're saying. The point I'm bringing out is if you had someone to signal the groups ahead, when that group's finished, whether it took them 30 seconds or a minute, when they're finished, they would telephone ahead to the leading group to proceed. They would go, they wouldn't be holding in place anymore. So, and the lag would come in if there were other groups behind, maybe took a little bit long to catch up. But the point is that would eliminate the gaps. If you telephone ahead to the group, example, let's say the parade's starting out and we're on group 3 and they're doing a 1-minute performance in front of the grandstand. Well, that person that stands there on the cell phone would call the leader of group 1 and say, hold in place. And they would hold in place, call them back 1 minute later, okay, proceed. So you don't have the lag, and the parade is constant. So whether they take a minute or 30 seconds or a minute and a half, they'll still know when exactly to move, because they'll get that signal by phone, and the leader of that group will start the group out again.
I think
Now, I haven't been in the parade myself, but, oh, no, that's not true. We marched 1 year.
I was right next to you.
Yeah, we marched ourselves. And once we came around the corner, now you're kind of on the back end, you're away from the flag, and there was just a handful of people. So by that point, you're kind of anxious to kind of just keep going and get around and finish. So being held up, to your point, Omar, when you're wearing your, big bass drum with your hat, your drum major stuff, and you're back here, you're like, hey, come on, can we just finish? I mean, I can see the finish line, So holding these people up to kind of keep the continuity might be a little bit tough because really the focus will be in front of the bleachers and the grandstand. Once you pass there, you get down 67, which is akin to a main street, and they turn by the CVS. You know, other than the few people that live in the apartments, there's not too many people back there. Now it's just a nice casual stroll to the finish line.
Again, the idea is to limit the gaps, because if you start out, if one group takes a minute or 2 minutes,
Yep.
then each time as you get further down the line, the gaps, the pause time, the gaps are going to get longer and longer to where you have 15 minutes before where the parades, where the last paraders go and the next group comes in.
Yep.
And then, people fall away, think the parade's over.
Right.
And the idea is to avoid that. And I don't know for a better solution than to contact the
Yeah.
leader of each group.
That's definitely something, you're right. I think we're not going to solve it this evening. So it'd be a good idea. We kind of table the idea, come up with some thoughts between now and the next time we meet, and then we can brainstorm and come up with some potential solutions.
If you have like somebody holding up a red sign or a green sign by the CVS, because if you're marching on foot, they're not going to be paying attention to their phone. You could do that if you're in a car, probably, but whoever's marching on the foot, the leader and stuff like that, the last thing they're going to think is, I'm going to get a phone call. Or maybe somebody that's controlling traffic.
Okay. 2019, I was in front of the parade with the radio. My daughter was at the bleacher with another radio. Every time she would call me, say, stop. I would tell the band to stop. We wait. And that's when I tell you that the sun, after a while, does that, because every other 3 minutes will be stopped.
Mhm.
Okay, I think maybe another solution is just have one performance at the end here, and that's it.
Hmm.
Not there, not on 67,
Yeah.
just one here. And that will move everybody, 67, maybe what they do is like, show who they are, but the big performance or whatever they want to do, have them over here at the end.
Hmm.
I think that's the best thing, and would not have that problem. We will not have that problem.
Hmm.
That's my
Then you'll need the bleachers at the end. Because they want to do the performance where everybody's at.
yeah.
Yeah. Right. Mhm. All right. Mhm. So we're not here. I mean, we should be finishing this up about now. And thank you, everybody, for your participation and great ideas, but great brainstorming. We can kind of go over those thoughts between now and the next time we meet. But really, we've kind of got a template now on other things, and we can certainly fine tune those little things between now and the next, now and the time that we have the parade. The bleachers, those are rented, I think, by the town and then brought in that morning. I know that's what we did with the Jingle Bell Jog. A couple of guys pulled up with some trucks and then said, hey, where do you want them? And the issue was, at the guy that knows where they're supposed to go being there when they drop them off. So we should all have some sense of where they're going to be. So whoever's there can say, yep, no issues, put them right here. And is it right there at Main Street? Do the Grams close off Main Street, or is it a little
The
bit?
Grams are made aware of.
Yeah.
Of us interrupting the streets and all
Right.
that. Yeah.
But I'm saying the bleachers in years past, have they been right in front of Main Street or a little bit further over? Yeah, and then the bleachers are set up right there. Okay. Yeah, right or in that area, yeah? Okay. Right. Okay, and then so the bleachers, I think that'll be another item that we have to, and then there's,
Yeah, I'd have to
Yeah.
check if we can.
yeah, no,
do
no, I
the
know.
Proposing the bleachers at the end so that they perform at the end, but I have to get back to you guys on that.
Yeah, but we had chairs here for the Grand Marshal ceremony was here in this plaza where the V is, and then the bleachers that had the DJ and the Master of Ceremonies was out on the main drag. But the issue with the bleachers was they come in different sizes apparently. And and I don't know what they are, but when they dropped them off, we were expecting one thing. And then when they laid it out, we said, oh, what is this? And they said, oh, you guys asked for the whatever, 3/4, ton pallet. So there is a difference in the size and that will accommodate different dimensions. So that's another thing to be made aware of.
Well, what happened also is after the parade, the bleachers are still there.
Mhm.
We had to move ourselves.
Hmm.
I mean, carry, about 4 or 5 of us and move them because they're
Just to move
blocking
them
the
off the
entrance.
road?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what they have done the last time was they put it right next, not at the entrance, not on the driveway, but on the side.
Hmm.
So everybody will stand up, the entrance, but at least they will be on the side. And then they could be there, whenever they can come and pick them up.
Yeah. Oh, that's a
They
great
want to
idea.
come and pick them up. At
Okay.
least we don't have to move them.
Mhm. But were they brought that morning?
Either that or the day before. I think it was the day before they were there too.
Hmm.
Sorry,
It depends.
you're saying that to have them place them on the sidewalk?
Well, in the grass, actually, that used to be like
Okay.
between the sidewalk and the street.
Yeah, like the swale.
Yeah, the swell part.
Just
That's
not
what
on
they
the
have.
street so that you guys don't. have
No,
to move.
not
Okay.
blocking the street because one of the time I remember we had to move them because nobody came and pick them up.
Okay.
And it was already 10:30 and
All right. Next one is the Veterans Lunch, and that will be, Isle, you're going to look into that. And then the last one is that I have, unless people have some additions, police participation and or traffic control. You have the traffic control, but and then the honor guard will be represented at the front of the parade, will represent law enforcement. And then is there any other participation in the parade itself? What? Okay. And then I think there was a chopper last year on the vehicle parade. They had one of the Miami-Dade helicopters on a trailer. Is that something that we coordinate or is that something that?
Is it, sorry?
It was kind of neat, I
Okay.
thought, yeah.
I'll check with Clarissa on that. Okay. Okay. Okay, we'll coordinate on that.
Mhm. And then what about having law enforcement march in the parade? I think there's some veterans group that have the Veterans March. There's an opportunity to have, because it's not just veterans, I mean, law enforcement figures prominently in the town. Would there be any interest or would people say, it's my day off, I don't really? In the honor guard, okay. You don't think there'd be any interest in having an element of officers marching? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay, all right. Yeah, okay, very good. All right, then, thank you so much for everybody's patience. I mean, especially on a Monday. Does anybody else have anything to add? No, and I
I
think,
recall in 2019, they had a flyby at the beginning of the
Yes.
parade.
oh, no.
There was,
I was gonna say, that's kind of a tall order,
Yeah.
but.
Yeah,
Was it Coast Guard?
all
Oh, the
right.
Helicopter, the Coast Guard.
my understanding is that
Thank
they
you
would
very
do it
much
in
for
the
your
beginning so that it
participation.
wouldn't
And
clash.
what time do you have, Ed?
That they would do it in the
8:04, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you, Mr. Robinson. Yep. Yeah, and the next meeting would be, when's the best time for everybody to be at this meeting? Same time next Monday? Does that sound good? Yeah? Okay,
All right, when?
Monday at 6:30, but then next Monday for this repeat of this meeting. Thank you, sir. No? Okay. Okay. Thank you for coming. Yes, sir. It seems like it. I mean, we got a good group, a lot of positivity. That's really all you need.